he's got it all and he doesn't know it. So he's sitting there thinking, concentrating on the one thing that he wants that he can't have, you know? And he's been given a gift that he's not appreciating and not using to its fullest extent. And so it's really about it being in your own backyard kind of thing. Grace and him are born to be together. She's the center, you know, of the wheel, and he's the maniac that spins around the hub, you know, spins around the outside. And she is, she's just a perfect woman, I mean, for him. She has something to do, but she's very much, you know, very selfless when it comes to him. Too selfless, probably. And always dealing with his dissatisfaction with life. But she's tough, too. You know, when it comes down to it, she doesn't mess around, and she's willing to mix it up. And she's the girl you don't want to disappoint. She's, you know, she's the girl next door, the dream girl. He gets to that point where he's at his lowest. He's screaming at God, and that's generally when things happen. When you get past that point of caring, almost, you just give up. You surrender. You know, I think he surrenders at a certain point. You know, it's like if you get so wrapped in what you want to happen, and God will, you know, will come into your life in some way or another, and everything in your life will indicate that you have no control. Anything you try to control will spin around the other way and make you realize you really don't. You know, the only control you have is in letting go of control. So it's kind of this weird conundrum we all deal with all the time, and that's what's great about the movie. It deals with that in a really funny way. It deals with a very serious issue. I think the tone, basically, I think it's a serious notion that's treated comedically, you know, I think it gets as silly as anything I've ever done, you know, but at the base of it, there's a real serious question and a real serious desire in this character to be worthwhile. And, you know, I think we get into trouble when we don't have a sense of self, you know? And that's what this guy doesn't have at the beginning of this movie. He doesn't have a sense of self. He's not okay just being, you know? And as we say in Canada, way to be, you know? I mean, you just gotta be sometimes, you know? You just gotta enjoy what you're doing. Jenny is fantastic, unbelievable. I was so happy to work with her because she's a bright light. You know, she's really, really special, and so good too, so professional, and so kind of hangs back in the pocket and allows the world to come to her. She's one of those non-desperate people that like kind of like is just okay, kind of, you know, being in the scene, still doing funny stuff and still doing her thing, but she does it in a way that's not desperate. I'm the complete opposite. I'm going for it. I'm flying all the time and trying to get something happening. And she's the type of person that can allow the world to come to her. It's beautiful to watch. And it's very settling as well. Morgan Freeman is the best actor in the world. He's wonderful, and there's no one else that could have played God, and he scares the hell out of me. Well, Tom is an amazing human being. He's unbelievable, great soul, great funny guy, extremely self-effacing, and he gets me completely. I mean, he's really always been, since we did Ace, you know, he just kind of was the first one to say, I want you on stage. You know, that guy that you do on stage, I want him, you know? And I didn't think I had the license to do that in a movie. And it's gotten me in trouble ever since, but it's also the blessing, you know, is like when somebody says, that's you, man, you know, be you, you know, and he's done that for me. You know, Tom and I go away together on vacation sometimes. A vacation for us is like, go to Alaska, find a grizzly bear and her cubs, like sit there behind Charlie Brown's Christmas tree and go, we could die. We could die right now. Funny, isn't it? you know, how fragile life is. We're those guys, you know, and you'll hear about it. Sooner or later, we'll be eaten by something. We have huge spiritual talks, and you know, Tom is quote man. You know, he quotes Thomas Merton all the time. You know, he's very, very up on that kind of thing. Very spiritual individual. You know, but funny as hell too, and completely flawed in every way.
Very professional and detail-oriented. He's a stickler for getting it just right, you know, and he'll do anything to get it right. He's amazing that way. Jim is flat out, straight up, incredible comedian, and I'm not at all. But I think that's probably the fact that I'm not at all makes me the perfect straight man, you know. All I have to do is try not to laugh. The whole experience was one of those that you get, it's just going to be memorable. Going to work was a pleasure. Being at work was a pleasure. I really got to like everybody involved in this quite a lot. There's no big deal to doing visual effects because you don't see the effects, but acting is pretending any way you look at it. So you're just extending the pretense a little further, you know. I mean, this kind of work isn't work. It's, you know, we're playing, so. No, I think it's comedy is hard. It isn't funny. You know, you're going to be seen working at it. You know, I think it's like anything else, you know. If you're enjoying yourself, then you're going to have an audience enjoying themselves.
And he's screaming at God, and then finally God answers him, and, you know, he gives him his powers, and then he abuses his powers, and then finally realizes what the beauty of having the powers of God is all about, and that you cannot mess with free will. It's also fascinating to watch him kind of find his thing, you know, find his genius, and it is pretty miraculous to watch his process, see how he gets there. And then, of course, getting to be in the presence of Morgan Freeman was, you know, pretty much one of those dreams come true. And he was godlike, I must say. But talk about funny. He's an amazing captain of his ship. They all love him. There's not one person that does not love him, and he makes it fun. And sometimes, you know, making a movie can be tedious and can be long hours and not so pleasurable, and he makes it pleasurable. He's in control, and he's just great. I hope people just have a fantastic time. I think they're going to laugh really hard. That was the intention here, and they're going to feel something.
My character is the manager of the station where Bruce works, and Bruce wants to be an anchor. He wants to be promoted beyond his ability, and everybody who works there recognizes that, and I certainly recognize it. So I'm tolerant of him, and I like him. He's extremely likable and he's funny, but I can't promote him. It's kind of a dream come true. I admire his work very much, and I couldn't believe it when I had this opportunity to do this film with him. But he keeps it so open and so free through the improvisation and through his love of playing on the set. He really does like to play on the. I mean, he actually enjoys it. It's like I don't know Jim at that personal level, but I think he's probably a guy who's really happy to come to work. I mean, he comes in every morning and he just exudes, radiates happiness and pleasure at being there, and that's very powerful for the rest of us too. No matter what kind of role we're playing, it lifts everything up and keeps everybody loose and free. It's just great, I have to say, it really is. Who could they get who would have this combination of dryness and this wit and this kind of profound force. And Morgan Freeman, I mean, he is the perfect actor to personify this role. So the chemistry, I think, is just right all around here in this movie. And I discovered that she is as unassuming and as delightful off camera as she is on camera. She is. I liked her a lot. She's very sweet, and as an actress, she's very considerate.
Bruce has a bit of a problem. Bruce doesn't get that he's got an angel, the best woman in the world, and you know, we all have that friend that goes, "Girl, he's not showing up for the party. You need to get on with your life." And that's what I tell her. She wants her sister to be happy. She wants her, like, I want all my friends to be happy. I'm such a yenta. I want them all to be married and happy, and I want to set them all up and have them have baby puke on them and dirty diapers and fights with their husband and, you know, just like my wonderful life. And that's what Debbie's like. She wants Grace to be happy and everything she deserves. Jennifer's one of us. She's like, you know, gets down and dirty with girlfriend talk, and she's sweet and loving. She's adorable with little Maddie, who plays my daughter in the movie, and she's a lovely girl. You know what's so unfair is to be like that rich and powerful and big in the business and still be really funny and a great guy. He cracks me up. Truly, from the beginning, what he was about to me, and the things he said to me, was about how he responds to people was their spirit and who they are, and he gets it. And of course, that's why he cast me, because he got immediately how wonderful I am. 4 kids, please give me a job.
Evan Baxter is Bruce's arch rival at the station and his nemesis. Fellow reporter, they're both jockeying for anchor position. He saw a piece I was doing on The Daily Show where I play a mock reporter and thought that would be an easy transition to this character. I play kind of the same type of character on The Daily Show. Clueless, kind of an arrogant jerk. And I ramped it up a little bit more for the movie. Jim Carrey is a really talented guy, and I was intimidated to meet him for the first time. I've always enjoyed his work. And upon meeting him, he's actually kind of shy, sweet, generous, and he puts everybody at ease around him.
Allie is sort of she is the voice of reason. She's sort of, Jim is playing a character who I think is very driven and very emotionally driven. You know, and I'm kind of his not his conscience so much as his reason. You know, it's like he can always count on me, I think, to try to make the right choices and to try to do the better stories. And we both ascribe to that. So I think she's a sensible, smart person. I'm still at a point where I'm watching him. You know, like you tend to all of a sudden turn into an audience, and you have to remember you're in a scene and try and keep up with it. So I love to improvise. So we've played around a little bit. You know, we're just kind of getting into that more. But I say it's hard because he's, you kind of tend to step back and watch him and forget. Because he's very funny, and he comes up with, you know, there's just a lot of kind of slapstick stuff that he does that I think is really funny. And that's what he does. He creates a nice place for you, encourages you to improvise, you know, gives you direction and like try it different ways, so you end up doing takes a lot of different ways, and it's more fun. And you know, on a big movie like this, it gives it a nice small feeling, a nice intimate feeling that he creates.
1,000 napkins are flying all over as he gets his powers as God. But as they were doing my close-up and I started crying, I looked over at him and he was crying. And I thought, wait a second now, the camera's not on him, the camera's on me. And the part of me that's a director wanted to say, bring the camera around, get this is extraordinary. Because there's part of Jim Carrey that's just, I think, an amazing actor, but an amazing person. I've acted since the 60s with a lot of extraordinary leading men, been very lucky. I never quite had a moment where somebody just was that generous and the camera wasn't even on them. It was very special.
Bruce Almighty is a story about where true power comes from. And Jim Carrey, you've heard of him, he plays a discontented reporter who's left doing all the silly jobs, the bake sales and the car washes, and he wants to do important news, and he's complaining about his life. Complaining that God could fix all the problems in his life in 5 minutes. And so God gives him an opportunity on the worst day of his life to have his power and to fix his life as he would fix it. And of course, we hope hilarity and conflict ensue. You know the saying, be careful what you wish for, you just might get it. That's kind of what happens to Bruce, you know? And we see this character get everything he wants, and yet somehow, strangely, is not happy. So, that's his arc. We knew we had to get the right God, and when this script came to me originally, one guy popped in my head, and it was always Morgan Freeman. Always Morgan Freeman. We wanted to play God as human. You know, there's a million ways to play God. You know, he can talk from a burning bush, or a mountain, or a sunset, or you know, an animal, or there's a million stories, you know, where God is manifest in different ways. Ours was human. So we wanted the consummate human who was full of dignity, power, a sense of humor, an edge. We didn't want God to be something angelic, holy, mighty. We believe God, you know, in our telling of the story, the many aspects of God, from very powerful, can set you straight, to edge, humor, dignity. And Morgan embodied all those characteristics.